Welcome to Hello Vibes Me Elevation Podcast with your host, Crystal Jackson, your favorite empowerment coach, astrologist, numerologist, and tarot reader. Here, guys, we embark on a journey to elevate your vibrations, empower your spirit, and inspire your confidence. That's right. So whether you are a small business owner, spiritual seeker, or just someone looking for a dose of motivation, baby, this podcast is for you. So I'm going to need you to tune in every Monday as we explore fun facts, share tips, and discuss ways to live a more empowered and vibrant life. Yes, let's get it. Let's raise our vibrations together. That's what it's all about. And thank you for joining me today. Namaste, ashe, and top of the morning to you, or afternoon and evening, depending on where you're listening. Guys, today in this episode, we're going to dive into a topic that affects so many lives, but is often misunderstood. And that, my friend, is the narcissist behavior. So, we are just learning this for the sake of awareness. For those who've ran into a narcissist, awareness. For those who haven't, really some awareness, okay? So, I am an empowerment coach. I am not a psychologist, but that does not make me any less educated, okay? So today we are going to uncover the psychological impact of narcissism, how it manifests, and most importantly, how to protect yourself and reclaim your independence. And if you are in a relationship with one, how to at least maintain your sanity if you decide to stay. All right, guys, let's get it poppin'. Episode entitled Unmasking Narcissist Behavior, Understanding, Identifying, and Breaking Free. All right. Thank you for the round of applause. Now let's get into the episode. Okay, guys. So we're going to look up I'm going to give you some definitions of narcissism. Okay. So this is the one I found maybe about 3 years ago. And this is the one, and I'm going to show you one I wish I would have found. Okay. So I have been seeing this word everywhere on social media. Every time I got on social media, anywhere I was at, they're narcissists. I'm like, what the heck is a narcissist? So I looked it up, and this is the definition I got. A person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Narcissists who think the world revolves around them. I thought, no big deal. I know a lot of people like that. That it can't be that bad, right? Wrong. Okay, now this is a better definition. So according to the DSM-5, the narcissistic personality disorder is a pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, need for admiration, and lack of empathy, and this is beginning in early adulthood and present in various contexts. This would lead me to believe, okay, a lack of empathy, and see, that's where I'll be drawing the line at. It said none of that. And I know that the definition that Google has when you first look it up, it confuses some people because I've had plenty of conversations with people that I've known for a long time. And they were like, well, I think I'm a narcissist. The definition said such and such and such with the first definition I read. And I'm like, no, it's deeper than that. I said, trust me, you're not a narcissist. If you were, I would know. It's like I have a radar. I'm going to be honest, guys. I know when I'm in the company of one or this person has narcissistic traits. So before I jump into the characteristics, I just want to be clear. We all have narcissism in us. We have to have it in us. If not, we'll just all be empathetic. We'll just be all giving and giving. It becomes a disorder when it becomes grandiose. Okay? So that is the bottom line. We all have it. Now, here are some key characteristics that you might want to look out for. And some of these are not really easy to spot. But if you talk to somebody long enough and you listen, especially in the beginning, you will hear it. But you have to close your mouth, open up your ears, and listen to people talk. Because when people talk long enough, their real intentions come out. And that's with anything. So one of the key characteristics is going to be a sense of entitlement. And you will hear this in a conversation. And a lot of the times, it's some narcissists can kind of hide this, the fact that they're narcissists. But some things they can't hide. And the sense of entitlement will be one of them when they get to talking. The lack of empathy, they can hide that for a while. Manipulative behavior, they can hide that for a while. And the grandiosity and exaggeration of compliments, that's something that they cannot hide. From my experience, okay? The sense of entitlement and the grandiose is something, if you let them talk long enough, it is going to come out. All right, 2, let's talk about the scientific effect of the brain. Now, I like to really break this part down because a lot of people who've been victimized by narcissists are really hard on themselves and beat themselves up because they just don't understand what's going on or why have I stayed around long enough. But technically, it's a chemical. The narcissist triggers a chemical in your brain. So, okay. You know, the part of your brain that seeks rewards and excitement and pleasure, where the sex is and addictions and drugs and everything is, that's where love is too. So, more times than not, narcissist is going to love bomb you in the beginning. And I'm going to get down to them definitions if you're not sure what that is. And that love bombing releases them chemicals like drugs in your brain. But see, what the narcissist will do is all that they just bomb you with love, and then they'll just take it from you. And now your brain is looking for them chemicals, all that love bombing. It was so much bombing in the beginning, it turned into like excitement and reward. So now your brain's looking for that again. So what the narcissist will do is he or she is not going to give all of that love bombing back to you. They're just going to give it to you in little pieces, just enough to where they can keep you hooked, pull you back. It's a whole mind fuck. So this is the impact on the victim's brain. After prolonged exposure to it from a narcissist, after a prolonged exposure, a narcissistic behavior can lead to increased cortisol, which is your stress hormone levels. And this affects your mental clarity, your emotional stability, and your physical health. And you got trauma bonding. So the psychological impact of fluctuating behavior from the narcissist, which was the love bombing, and then they devaluate you. So what this does is this creates confusion, and it leads to the victim forming an emotional bond with the abuser. Now, researchers have suggested, with the effect on the narcissist's brain, that often they show less activity in the brain regions that's associated with empathy and emotional regulation, further contributing to their manipulative tendencies. So understanding the scientific effect on the brain, my hopes is that anyone who has been victimized by the narcissist, don't beat yourself up. Hey, look, I ended up in a relationship for 6 months that I didn't even want to be in, okay? So, and I'm not beating myself up because I realized the mental fog and the mental fuck I was dealing with. Also, the third part I'm moving on to is a different type of narcissism, but I had to say that part first. All right, so now I started to really understand the behaviors of a narcissist maybe three or 4 years ago. And when I tell you I was a research junkie, you can ask anybody. Well, of course you're not going to ask anybody, but just take my word for it. Lately, not too long ago when I looked it up, it looked like they had come up with some more different types. I'm not going to go into those. I'm going to go into what I know. So there's the two different types of narcissism. I'm not saying this is all there is, but I'm telling you the main two that I know. A covert and a grandiose. So the covert is more introverted, and this one plays the victim role. He feigns modesty, or he or she, but internally they harbor grandiosity. They're very subtle with manipulation and emotional abuse. These are the ones that take you a while to find out that they're narcissists, okay? The grandiose, they have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, very aggressive, assertive, and outwardly manipulative. They thrive on admiration. They often feel superior to others. Some of the things you might want to look for: a constant need for praise, gaslighting, making you question reality, the lack of empathy even in emotionally charged situations, and extremely defensive when criticized. For sure, these 4 signs are what you need to look for. If you see these 4 signs and you're in the beginning, put your boots on, your shoe, your run, okay? That's all I got to say. Run as fast as you can. I'm telling you, you do not want to get caught up in this type of web. Now, what I will say is, I have come to the realization that we are all here for a purpose. I've came to that realization. I was understanding with everybody but the narcissist, especially after what I had got put through. But I have accepted what I went through, and I realized it was for me to be able to help other people. What I'm doing now is I'm not judging the narcissist. I'm simply giving you some education on it. I don't feel, narcissists don't make me feel good. That's okay. They are here for their reason. Whatever reason they're here, and my only thing is, again, I know what it does to my energy, so I'm choosing not to put myself in a company when I understand or realize. Some people, they may not even be narcissists. They may just have the traits because it's a lower vibrational energy sometimes. So let's real quick, the zodiac signs. So I was looking up what other people's opinion was on the zodiac signs that was closest to narcissism. And it was crazy because this was one site I seen that said they was going to do it from least to greatest chances. And my first pick was Pisces. That was their last pick. The 3 zodiac signs that's closest to narcissism. The first is Pisces. I have dealt with this firsthand, but even if they are not a narcissist, their lower vibrational characteristics will come off that way. So it's hard to tell. Leos, and although I have never met one, just knowing the Leo characteristics, I'm a Leo myself. The ego, the all about them, I know when they're in a low vibrational energy, I know that they will come off as a narcissist. And Virgos. And I met Virgos that was narcissist. And it just doesn't go for all Virgos, but it's that superior trait, like that low vibrational energy. You know, Virgos are perfectionists, but imagine them in a low vibrational energy. They're better than everybody. So to me, those are the 3 signs. I would say Cancer could be one. Only because the characteristics in the low vibrational energy. And I seen Libra on there. I don't know about Libra. Them is the 4 I would say. And that's just my opinion. What else do I want to cover before we move to... Oh, okay. I want to touch on a little bit on the extremely defensive and criticized. Listen to me. A narcissist does not like to feel shame, okay? It's something about shame. So when I was doing my research again a few years ago, it was said that some of the things I found, I'm gonna tell you what I come across, that 2 things usually will make a person narcissistic. 2 things that happened as a child. one is being overpraised and one is not being praised enough. So for example, if a child, every time a child does something, you always tell them that that's great, you won, even when they didn't win. You will start to create a sense of grandiose entitlement. You know what I mean? You just start to create someone that has narcissistic traits, because now they can never do wrong. Everything they do is right. You know, you've praised them for everything, even things that they didn't actually accomplish or succeed in. The other half was, if you're not getting enough praise, like say your parents or the adults in your life are not paying attention to you unless you accomplish something. Like you come home, they don't say nothing to you. They're not really paying attention. But as soon as you get that A, great job. So, it can create that sense. So also that shame thing, is that shame, they do not like feeling shame. So if you call them out on anything, they're going to get defensive when they're criticized, if they feel like they're criticized. So anything you say to them, they're going to say you're turned into an argument. Anytime, and then that's where a lack of empathy would come in at. Anytime you express your feelings, they are not going to acknowledge your feelings. They're going to turn it back around on you, and again, they're going to get defensive. Or then you got the gaslighting. That gaslighting, they'll say you said something that you didn't say, or you didn't say this, or you did say that, or that's not what was said. And it's just like you be ready to pull your hair out. So, again, those are signs to look for. And don't forget about the constant need for praise. Good job, you did great. You see, just it's a thin line, between somebody feeling like they should be acknowledged for things that they do, and it's a difference between I need my praise. Praise me. I did this. I did that. So, yeah, that is the different types of narcissism. And we're going to move to part 4. Key terms. All right, let's talk about some key terms and behaviors. These are some of the most commonly used terms associated with narcissistic behavior. Okay, the first one is gaslighting. This is when you're manipulating someone to make them doubt their own perception of reality, often leaving them confused and emotionally distressed. Second one, love bombing. Intense displays of affection and attention used to quickly gain control and manipulate emotions. Once the narcissist feels secure, the behavior is withdrawn. Flying monkey. Third-party individual who the narcissist manipulates to act on their behalf, often turn them against the victim or enlisting them to spread rumors or maintain control. So let me just say, the gaslighting. Out of all the characteristics, the gaslighting and the lack of accountability is probably the 2 worst ones for me. Like, I would rather jump off a bridge or play Russian roulette than to have somebody play with my mind and gaslight me. It was crazy. Like, this used to really take me out of my character, even though I knew I was being gaslighted. I always set things straight, but the fact that we even had to go through that whole entanglement, which is it's wild. The love bombing, yes, that will make you feel a certain way. Imagine somebody just doting over you, just, oh, I love you, and they just disappear. Like, what the hell? So now you're going to go chase that person. The flying monkey, this one right here, this is the one. So this is where usually a person with these traits or behaviors are very charming to other people. And the only person that actually can feel the wrath of this person is the person closest to them, which usually is the person in a relationship with their child or something like that. So what they do is they start to set things up, set stories up about you, just because they know what is about to come, So they'll start saying things about you, little things here and there, and you don't even know. That way to get everybody on their side. So when things do happen, it looks like you're the crazy one. Like they might say something like when you're not around, yeah, I think she's doing drugs or something like that, and you don't know what's going on. So then when this person, the actual narcissist, start to do things, you look like you're the crazy person on drugs or something like that. They've already got the whole friend list on their side already, looking at you crazy. And it ain't gonna feel good. I'll tell you that now. So these are the main three terms. And what else was it? It was one more thing, the gaslighting up. I feel like it's something else I wanted to say before I move on to the fifth part, because I'm going to tell my story in this next part. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. Those are the main three terms that you will hear all the time. And a lot of people don't know what the flying monkey is, but the flying monkey is just a third party that them fell victim to, that's been manipulated by a narcissist to act on their behalf. All right, well, now I guess it's time to move to part 5. All right, guys, this is part 5 of this episode, and this is where I share my personal story. I will tell you a little bit about my experience with a narcissist. I'm going to focus on how I identified the behavior, the psychological impact it had on me, and how difficult it was to communicate from my perspective. All right? You guys ready? That's right, girl. You stand in your truth. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. So, this is how aware and conscious I am and how I attract things to me. So I'm not going to just say it all, but I got to tell you how it started. So I remember I had been single for maybe for about 2 or 3 years. And this is a point in my life where I was still open to finding a connection. So I remember telling my sister or either my mother, you know what, by the end of this month, it was August of like 3 years ago. By the end of this month, I'm not even going to have to leave my house. Somebody's going to get in touch with me and I'm not ever going to have to leave. Well, what do you know? Somebody got in touch with me through Messenger. And I just knew that this was something that was supposed to happen. Not thinking that you manifest things into happening. See, people think, I knew that was going to happen, but really it happened because you manifested it. So anyways, it was somebody that I had grew up with. We're from the same neighborhood. He hung around where I grew up at. We had a little gang, you should say, a little girl, whatever. I don't want to get into all that just yet. In this episode. So a lot of people couldn't come off the porch, but not only was we off the porch, we was running, okay? So a lot of people around our neighborhood knew us, and, you know, as we got older, it was just a certain type of love or respect when they seen us. So when he had got in touch with me, I was like, okay, well, I never thought about that. So I was like, well, maybe this is the person. So let me give him a chance. Now, right before this, I had looked up narcissists. I don't know why, but I know what made me do it. What made me do it consciously was because I wanted to know why everybody kept using this word. There's no way everybody in the world could be a narcissist all of a sudden now. You know how, like, they take one thing and everybody just runs it in the dirt. So what I know now, or what I knew after the fact, my subconscious mind knew that I was about to deal with one. So it was preparing me. Because if it would not have prepared me, man, either me or him would have been hung up by a tree. Oh, maybe that's not good to say. I'm sorry, I take that back. I'm over-exaggerating. It was a joke, That could be a touchy subject. So I'm not going to say that. But one of us wasn't going to make it if I would not have been educated. Because that's how mentally, it's a mental fuck, I'm telling y'all. So anyways, he called me on Messenger, we're talking, and all of a sudden, this dude is showing this grandiose. I'm just listening to him. I got this and I got that and I got houses and I got this. He's just going and going. And I start to get a little irritated because I'm like, why is he trying to impress? I'm thinking he's trying to impress me. Like, why? He must not really. So I had to stop him. I said, look, I'm very proud of your accomplishments. I really am. But that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in growth. I'm interested in where I'm going with somebody. Where we going? I'm glad that you got all that, but, So you're like, all right, cool. He couldn't help it. So anyways, I started to see, he is kind of grandiose, but okay. Still didn't think much of it. So one time we had a conversation about children. I never forget it. And this is when I was done. So I was basically saying, well, I'm the type of person that when I'm in a relationship, when kids is involved, your kids become my kids, right? I love all the kids the same. I don't treat one different from the next. And he says, well, I'm the type of person that, if they're not my kids, you're my woman, I'm going to take care of my woman, and I'll give you the money to take care of your kids. I said, I respect that, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who's all in, because that's what I'm used to. My fiance, rest in peace, he was murdered. That's how we did things. So, anyways, he was like, okay, so you mean to tell me, because of course he knew my fiance and everything, so you mean to tell me that if we got kids and our kids is going to school and our kids need shoes, you're not going to buy your kid the shoe? This is what the scenario. We're broke. We only got money to buy one pair of shoes, and we got his kids and we got my kids. Who am I going to take the money and buy the shoes? Who's going to get the shoes? I said, well, that's simple. Who needs it the most? Out of our kids, who's in a higher grade? The younger kids can probably go for another, you get what I'm saying? I wouldn't be like, oh, my kid gonna get this. Some people might. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's not who I am, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm very clear about what I'm looking for. So through this conversation, I thought, this ain't what I want, So after this conversation, I just stopped talking to him. I ain't answered the phone for him anymore. So eventually he got back in touch with me. And we talked about the situation, and this is what I should have known. This is where the gas line came in at. He kind of denied that he was saying these things, and I knew he said it. But at this time, again, I'm not thinking narcissist. I'm thinking he's just trying to. I'm thinking maybe I changed his mind, and he doesn't want to come off as this person. So now he's trying to impress me and say, nah, that's not what I meant. But I know exactly what he meant, because we were going back and forth about it for a while. And I didn't understand why we was going back and forth about it. If this is your opinion, this is my opinion, that's fine. I'm not here to convert anybody into my beliefs. This is what I believe. That's where I'm at in life. So eventually, guys, we got back together. We got together. And, when I tell you, we'll have to take a breather for this one. Exactly. It was like a horror movie. So this is part 2. So at this time, we are calling ourselves working towards a relationship, in a relationship, whatever you want to call it. So now this is where the love bombing comes in at. Love bombing? What? Okay. So we'd be talking on the phone, and I might say something like, oh, I'm hungry or something. He would send me $200. Anything I said, he would just be like, oh, I'm about to sing something. I'm like, no, I'm about to sing something. No matter what, it's a Walmart. It's always a Walmart right around the corner. I'm like, okay, cool. That's nice. And he's holding his word, though. So now he's like, we're talking on the phone every day. I'm a caseworker at Salvation Army, so it's an hour and a half drive to work. So we talking on the way to work. We talking on the way back from work. We talking when I get in the house. And, you know, I got life and I got kids. Now, he lives in another state from me, so that was cool with me. For some reason, I love the distance right at this point in my life, so I wasn't tripping. So I started to see little things like maybe 2 weeks into us dating, we were all going to Myrtle Beach for my brother-in-law's birthday. And he came on the trip. Now, before this, maybe about almost a month into it, I want to say. Now, before this, he's telling me, you should get your own place. My older daughter is going through things with her baby's father in another state. And he's making threats, and he's a narcissist too. But that's a whole different story. So I'm talking to him. So he's like, yeah, you should get a place. I got you. I'm going to pay the rent. So I'm thinking, no, I'm okay. Because at this point, I had already moved out. I lived like an hour away from my mom and them. We had moved to a new state. And I wanted to get close to them. So I moved back in with my mother. Said, like, we get your own place. I got you. I got the deposit. I said, well, I'll go half. Cool. So we ended up going to Myrtle Beach. And when I tell you, he was spending so much. He was doing shit like valet parking and shit like that. And we look at him like, is he serious? He's just going ham. So I'm thinking, okay, he tell I got $20,000 in the bank. I got 2 houses. I mean, he is just going crazy, y'all. I'm finding Danny, your money, However, he done had me put in an application for this place. Tell the lady that I'll be having the money this Monday. That was when we was going to be back. Y'all, when it came time for him to get that money for the deposit, he played so many games. And I just couldn't believe it. So then, when I was addressing him about the games he was playing, he got real defensive and it just went crazy. And I said, hold on. Something's not right here. This ain't normal. Then that's when I started putting it together. He is a narcissist. Oh, no, this is when when he started putting people down real bad. Like, he would talk about people real bad, like drug addicts and things like that. And I would always be like, do you know their story? Because anytime I see somebody that's doing bad or on drugs or at the low point in their life, I always want to know what got them there. I know there's a story behind everything. So that's where I'm very empathetic. And they say, the saying is, empaths attract narcissists. I consider myself a super empath because I had his motherfucking number. I'm telling you. So once I realized I was dealing with a narcissist, I started to do some research. And a lot of things that I was seeing, so much research. A lot of things I was seeing was fitting his description. I was like, okay. But the one thing that it was saying that narcissists lie a lot and they manipulate. I was like, okay, but I don't see that. Man, no sooner than I said that, this dude lied like carpet. Caught him in so many lies. And I started to find myself investigating everything. He said he got 2 houses. I'm looking up the deeds. He say, I can't send money because Walmart went down. I'm calling Walmart. The electricity, I'm calling it. I didn't go to work. I'm calling the job. I have to backtrack everything because he started lying so much. So the point really came when he said that he had $20,000. Oh gosh, this boy was crazy. He had $20,000 in the bank. It was right around Christmas time. That he'd been telling me this since we started talking. He needed to borrow some money, he said, because he didn't get his check. It was some crazy stuff he said. Now, I did mention the fact that he drove us to wherever he was from. I ain't gonna say that we went there. And we were stuck because he borrowed my money. And the day before, it was like 2 days before Christmas. And then when I was upset about it, he couldn't take it. It was crazy. So like going to them with anything, like, Dad, you just took my money. Now I don't have Christmas. They get real defensive. It's crazy. They start to make things up. Say, I didn't say it. Listen, it's crazy. So we ended up finding a ride back to North Carolina, me and my older son. Luckily, when I got there, I had already got approved for a credit card once my credit card had came through. So I was able to still get my daughter's Christmas. I'm not really into Christmas, but I had raised them there that like that. And since my awakening, I just ain't really into it, but I don't want to take it from them, if that makes sense, because, I didn't start them on it. So, however, it just got real bad after that. So finally, after I looked everything up, I just smacked him with it and said, listen, I know you're lying and you could back him up. You could have backed him up into the corner of everything. He's not going to tell the truth. But I started pulling out facts. He had no choice. I said, listen, if you don't come clean with all these lies, we're going to be done. So he started coming clean with some of the lies. He still said that somebody hacked his bank account and stole his $20,000. He was not. So I said, well, send me some receipts and and we're going to be straight. He couldn't do that. Of course he couldn't do it because we all know that was a fucking lie or whatever. But he was holding on tight to that. And these are things he didn't have to lie about. But again, they create this grandiose character and they have to stick to it. They create this superior person. So it got real bad. Like he would, like if I didn't answer my phone, if I was at work on my voicemail, he would call. He would be done broke up with me, got back together with me, all in like one voicemail. And I never even heard it. So, in like the last voicemail, we done been together, we done broke up, he didn't apologize, we done got back together, and I didn't even know. So I'm like, man, what is wrong with him? So then I started to feel stressed every time he called. Every time he called, I'd be stomping my feet like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, man, the next time, like we broke up like once a week, and I'm like, man, I'm not dealing with him again. But then he'll call, and I'll start to feel bad, and I'm like, okay, come on. You tell me that ain't a mind fuck. Somebody that you don't even, they frustrate you. They irritate you. You don't even want to talk to them on the phone. But here you are, still maintaining a relationship. Come on. It was that love bombing. And it's not that I feel like I needed it. The empathy in me was like, okay, well, maybe he can. So I kept looking up the narcissist chains, I still haven't found the real answer. Okay? But I'm going to tell you this. In order to change, you have to think something is wrong. And if they never think they're wrong, they're never going to change. That's the way I see it. But I believe everybody's capable of change, so I can't take it from them. But I just don't know. Very few says yes. A lot says no. I'm not really sure. So anyways, I'm going to hurry up and conclude this up because I can go on all day about this. I'm just telling y'all the major parts. Eventually, he said he was going to move down with me. I was like, thinking, hell no. So he done quit it. He lied. He done quit his job and everything. Next, he's down here with me. So I'm like, oh gosh, okay. I don't know how I'm going to get out this one. That's all I'm thinking. So I'm thinking, okay, the first argument, no, I didn't think that the first time. He stayed that night, woke up in the morning. He had an attitude. He was acting real nasty. I mean, just real. And I'm checking him like, hold up. So I'm like, wait, so then like maybe an hour later, he's better now. I'm like, what the hell was all that about? So I'm thinking in my head, the next time we argue, this is going to be my reason. And I'm not at all. I'm not forgiving. So finally, he did it again. The very next day, guys, he did the exact same thing. And I was like, what is wrong with him? Now, what I didn't mention is, the whole time I was with him, I was educating myself. So I knew what was going to come next. Everything they said, I was 2 steps ahead of him. I already knew he was going to do. So this is what really got me. They said when you argue with a narcissist, they will try to say things to make you feel the lowest, and their favorite word is like a loser. He had never called me a loser before. Like right after I read this is crazy. So I forgot what happened. It was so stupid. But I was just irritated. I'm like, this is the second day for nothing. Like, you wake up with an attitude. I don't need that shit. So we get to arguing, and I just must admit, he's a big guy. Now, when I knew him when we were kids, he was tall and kind of stocky. But when I met him again, he was hefty, a little hefty. I didn't know that. But even when I found out, I wasn't going to judge him based off of that. And sometimes I like a little cushion. That was more cushion than I actually prefer, but hey. So we get to arguing and stuff, and I still don't know why it was stupid, but I was thinking, oh yeah, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I've been looking for. So he said something, bitch. And he was taking the TV because he had brought his TV. Remember, I had just moved into that place. So when he called me out of my name, my oldest son, he was 20 at the time, maybe 19. I think he's 22 or 23 now. He was sleeping in his bed. He jumped up out of his bed. He's a little guy. And the dude that I was dealing with is a big guy. It's like Jolly Green Giant and SpongeBob or something. I don't know. Little big. That was it right there. I knew that was it. Because now my son is at the age where he feel like he has to defend me. And there's no way my son about to fight this big. Well, we're going to fight him together if it come down to it, because he's not going to put his hands on my son. But I'm too old to go through that. I'm too old to put my children through that. So when he called me there, I pushed him out the door. And he took his TV. He threw it at my car. We heard some go to doom. So I kind of laughed like, no, he did not. So that was the end. So I end up blocking him on everything. He has to owe me some money. He ended up getting in touch with me, giving me some money. My money that he owed me. He did do that. So he was like still trying to conversate. So I was like, no, I just wanted my money. That was it. So I had to lie to him and tell him that I met somebody else and they had moved in. And I blocked him from everything. And that was it. It's so much more to the story, but I don't want to hold y'all with too much. But the love bombing, the gaslighting, it's all real. I'm telling y'all, with that gaslighting, he used to have me jumping up to the ceiling like I didn't know how to express myself because I knew he was fucking with me and I needed him. Or imagine trying to get your point across to somebody, and no matter what you said, they're not getting your point. It's like they're purposely trying to misunderstand you. That is not a good feeling, okay? One thing about me, I need my feelings validated when I'm expressing myself, and I'm going to express how I feel, period. That's going to happen. You don't have to agree with me, but do not treat me or treat my feelings like they mean nothing, because I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to deal with nobody who's doing that. That's very important to me. So I'm going to end it there and tell y'all the detriment of getting your point across. Understand this. The narcissist will rarely take accountability or acknowledge your feelings. They will often twist arguments to avoid taking responsibility for their action. Trying to get them to understand your perspective will lead to frustration and further manipulation. I can guarantee you that. So my advice for you is don't try to get your point across. It makes them no motherfucking difference what you're talking about. And I know you feel like you want your feelings validated, and maybe if I say it this way, they're going to understand. I don't care how many times you say it, how many times you twist it up, how many times you reword it, they are going to purposely misunderstand you. So just don't do it. Do not try to get your point across to a narcissist. You know what your point is. And if you just can't help it, just stand your ground. You know what I mean? I don't like what you did at dinner. What do you mean when I did at dinner? You the one that start pointing at you. Well, last time you went to dinner, you did. You're like, no, hold up. You're trying to get back there. You're like, remember you? They're not going to go. So have some thick skin and stand your ground if you're going to try to get your point across to the narcissist. Other than that, my best advice is don't do it. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that will wrap up the personal story. And we have, let me see, how to avoid an argument with a narcissist and how to stay safe. And those will be the last two segments. So let's move on to part 6. All right, guys, part 6, how to avoid an argument with a narcissist. Now, understand their tactics. The narcissist will often bait you into an argument to maintain control or push their narrative. Refuse to engage in their manipulation. Just refuse it. Stay neutral. You got to keep calm. You cannot let them see any emotion from you. That triggers them. They love that shit. So you got to avoid reacting emotionally. A narcissist will feed on an emotional response to assert control. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you're already their supply. They need you. They need that supply. And your emotions and things like that, they love to see that. Probably because they don't have any. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk bad, but I'm just saying. You got to set firm boundaries and refuse to participate in unhealthy discussions. This is the key to maintaining your peace. And when they talk about that no contact, if you're done with a narcissist, when I'm saying no contact, none. block them from everything, because they will start to do things to get under you, especially if you care and you love them. They'll start posting things on social media, bring a new person into their life, anything to get at you, especially if you're their real supply. No contact, not limit, none. Okay? All right. Now we're going to move to part 7, how to stay safe and steps to gain independence. And the last segment is how to stay safe and steps to gain independence. All right, here's the steps to stay safe. Remember, at first I said no contact, okay? If you must deal with a narcissist, some of us just don't have a choice, okay? If possible, just minimize direct interaction with the narcissist, especially in emotionally charged situation, okay? Remember, keep calm. If you're dealing with a narcissist, especially with stuff like child custody and things like that, document everything. Keep records of any manipulative or abusive behavior, especially if it escalates. Third, build a supportive network. Surround yourself with trusted individuals who understand the situation and can offer support. And do your research. Educate yourself so you can stay 2 steps ahead. That is how I got through it. When they asked me how I got through, by educating myself, staying 2 steps ahead. Knowing is half the battle. Applying it is the game right there. And that's exactly what I did. I knew what he was going to do before he did it. Oh, I never told him. He called me a loser that day. I was like, well, they said he was going to say that. It was just crazy. Everything that I researched, he showed everything. And it's a lot of information out there, a lot of information that can help you understand who you're dealing with. That way you can stop doing certain things like arguing or trying to get your point across or trying to get them to take accountability or trying to get them to empathize with you. You can stop doing that because it's not going to work. It's just going to, only person that's going to hurt is you. So when you're gaining your independence, emotional detachment, you got to begin emotionally detaching from the narcissistic behavior. Understand the reactions are a reflection of them, not you. Seek therapy. Professional help can be incredibly beneficial in reclaiming your emotional well-being. But I will say, when I was doing some research, it did show that some psychiatrists, after they deal with narcissists, they have to go get help. They are all right? And you got to develop financial independence for sure. If applicable, work towards becoming financially independent to minimize the narcissist's control of you. Anything you could do to minimize the control. And remember, understand who you're dealing with. Then you make a decision and choice. If you know everything that we talked about, you understand. If you decide to stay with the narcissist, that's fine. I'm not judging, I promise you. But just know who you're dealing with, so you can at least have a peace of mind while you deal with the narcissist, okay? All right, and to all my narcissistic people, I do still want to send out love. I hope you guys get some understanding and help. I do not hate y'all. I do feel like I have to educate on this subject, and I also feel like I have to separate myself. Okay, well, guys, thank you for tuning in to this very, 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 very informative and needed episode. And I will catch you guys in the next episode because I love it so much. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, guys. This is the final thought. Remember, dealing with a narcissist is no easy feature, but reclaiming your power is possible. And you can do this through awareness, self-love, and taking practice steps. You can rebuild your life free from manipulation. All right? And if you found today's episode helpful or have your own experience with narcissistic behavior, feel free to leave a comment or share your story with us. Email me. You can get on the podcast, you can talk about it, or I can tell your story for you. And don't forget to subscribe. And you can rate and review my podcast. And look on your favorite platform to help us spread awareness. And stay tuned for more insights and personal stories in the next episode. And remember, your energy is expensive. Be mindful how you spend it. And always protect your energy like the Secret Service protect the president, but not John F. K. Namaste. I'll catch you on another day.